For the third time, Wild Justice ran its petition to ban grouse shooting in England. Maybe Chris Packham and Ruth Tingay thought that a Labour government would produce a different result to the last 2 times they did this. No. For the third time, there was a non-binding debate in Westminster Hall, a grand committee room dressed up to make it feel like the antis have been heard in the proper chamber, under the chairmanship of Caroline Harris MP.
Order, order.
And for the third time, the government said it supports grouse shooting. If anything, the lineup briefed by Basque and the Countryside Alliance was stronger than last time, with Rishi Sunak taking the floor, which had Chris, top right, holding his head in his hands. Here's Labour MP Sam Rushworth, who won praise for his speech from the rest of the chamber.
I used to work for an animal welfare charity, so I care about the welfare of all animals, including grouse and birds. And let me say as well, I've got no interest in shooting grouse. I represent, I believe, although some may challenge me on this, England's biggest grouse moors in Teesdale and Weardale. I've never shot an animal in my life. I have shot a gun during a short period in Canada and greatly enjoyed shooting targets, but I'm not interested in grouse shooting. That does not mean that we should ban it. I'm here today as a Labour MP to represent my constituents. And my first priority will always be the jobs and livelihoods of the people that I represent.
The only MP to make a speech in favour of Wild Justice was Olivia Blake, Labour, Sheffield Hallam. Her pitch was that grouse shooting is environmentally damaging and, shooters would agree with this, but for different reasons, too expensive.
Landowners routinely undertake practices that are environmentally destructive and ecologically reckless. These include the widespread burning of heather, as we've heard, in moorlands, the draining of some peatlands, and I'm sure no responsible landowner or land manager allows it, the illegal persecution of birds of prey, including many protected species, such as the hen harrier, for which I'm the species champion, the golden eagle, the buzzard and the peregrine falcon.
One of the favours Wild Justice did us was to give shooting a parliamentary platform to refute these charges. All MPs condemned the shooting of hen harriers.
It is the contention of activists that grouse shooting somehow harms the environment, countryside and biodiversity. They are fundamentally and conclusively wrong.
In 2023, a record number of hen harrier chicks fledged, the majority on managed grouse moors. This is no accident, Mrs. Harris. It is the product of targeted conservation partnerships, predator control and habitat stewardship. BASC and others are funding brood management, habitat creation and even southern reintroduction efforts. Gamekeepers are not the enemy of the hen harrier, they are its strongest ally in the uplands.
MP after MP pointed out that far from draining moors, Olivia Blake is out of date. Grouse moor owners are re-wetting moors.
Far from seeking to create drier moors, managers appreciate wetter is better.
The best bit was that the debate gave MPs the opportunity to make the case for controlled burning. Kevin Hollinrake, MP for Thirsk and Moulton, brought up the potential change in definition of deep peat from 40 centimetres to 30 centimetres, which the government's agency Natural England wants.
I'm very concerned about the position Natural England are taking. I think it's very important the government does make sure that Natural England does the right thing, because there are many other measures Natural England are currently considering that would further undermine grouse shooting in Thirsk and Moulton. It's consulting on changing the definition of deep peat. Currently, deep peat must be 40 centimetres or more, and then you can't use burning to control that fuel load. They're considering, and the consultation is reducing that to 30 centimetres. That would mean the vast majority of the North York moors would not be able to be controlled in terms of the fuel load on that moor by burning. And their solution to this is mowing, of course, but if you look at mowing, could that be a potential solution? Well, and the Scottish Parliament hearing on the issue, where the Scottish Fire and Rescue Service warned that mowing excess vegetation can leave a dry layer that actually encourages the spread of fire, whereas winter burning is by far the most effective because it removes a fuel in its entirety. But Natural England have banned banned the burning in winter, banned winter burning, which again is causing that increased fuel load.
For the first time, MPs were able to bring up the idea that Natural England, under the chairmanship of former Friends of the Earth boss Tony Juniper, is trying to undermine hunting and shooting sports.
I believe that the policies being pursued by Natural England are a deliberate attempt to close down things like grouse shooting in my constituency and others. If I can read in terms of some of the potential risks from this, in terms of the Peak District did a report into this and said the frightening potential of fire reaching extremes both in the rate of spread and flame lengths far beyond the capacity of control of the Fire and Rescue Service. Little can be done to control the topography of the area or the increasingly fire-supported weather, but fuel loading can be addressed. Which is not being addressed, and it's going to get worse. That's my point. And I think this is an ideological position being taken by our regulator.
I'd also be grateful if the Minister could pick up on the points with regard to Natural England and what the Minister himself will be doing with his ministerial colleagues to hold Natural England to account, to make sure that they don't run away with the narrative of wanting to reduce deep peat from 40 to 30, because that will have absolutely catastrophic consequences on how moorland is managed.
The government is not happy with criticism of Natural England. Here's DEFRA Minister Daniel Zeichner.
The ritualistic denunciation of Natural England, I think, is disappointing in the sense that these are civil servants doing their best to provide sound advice to government. As the government's advisor for the natural environment in England, Natural England provides statutory advice to ministers, but the final decision on whether to grant a licence under the regulation lies with the Secretary of State. I will give way.
This question how he defines sound advice, because the advice I've seen from people who manage that moorland, if Natural England get their way and change the definition of deep peat from 40 centimetres to 30 centimetres, that'll be half.
Can I remind you that you were
in Thurske Bolton?
You were asked to only raise issues connected to your own constituency. Thank you.
I apologise, Mrs Harris, but this is about my constituency. In half of my constituency, the moorland will not be able to be managed. The fuel load will increase, wildfires will take place, and it will make my constituency in terms of grouse shooting completely unviable. Is he not concerned Natural England have a hidden agenda which will affect constituencies like mine?
Minister.
I understand the right honourable gentleman's concern. Natural England provides statutory guidance and advice to ministers. Ministers decide. We are looking at the advice they have given. No decision has yet been taken.
Of course, it could not have gone our way without a lot of briefing from the shooting organisations.
BASC would like to thank, firstly, the MPs, and secondly, members of the field sports community who lobbied their MPs clearly so well and highlighted these benefits.
We'd like to offer our sincere thanks to Mr Lamont, Mr Sunak and all the MPs who stood up and gave evidence and did what is absolutely right.
In the end, it came down to this.
A ban on grouse shooting would be a policy with no winners. It would be a small section of urban Britain imposing its views on rural Britain, and this isn't right. The failure to appreciate other people's views and interests won't bring our country together. So I urge the government to stand firm and reject these ill-thought-through advocates for a ban, and instead we should all work together to build on this quintessentially British success story.
And this is the government's response.
While the government has no plans to ban driven grouse shooting, it is vital that wildlife and habitats are protected and that the law is respected by everyone.
A debate where everyone agrees at the end to obey the law is not world-changing. Now, the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting different results, said apparently Albert Einstein. Bet you Wild Justice goes for a fourth petition to ban grouse shooting.